Brian, we're down here at the Sport Aircraft Expo in Mount Vernon, Illinois, and this is quite a show that they're putting on here.
For a first-year event, they're doing very well. In fact, not even for a first-year event. They're just plain doing real well here. A great team led by their airport manager, Chris Collins, who's a young fellow with lots of energy, and they're doing great here, I think.
We must have, I think, 40 or 45 airplanes here from different manufacturers.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's always a few doing demo, which of course is one of the goals of these things, but if you counted them all up, it'd probably be pretty close to 50, so it's a very credible turnout. Lots of nice equipment here for people to see, and quite a few people that have come in to see it.
This has to be one of the most successful U.S. manufacturers that there is.
Well, you know, of our whole fleet of 103 SLSA models in the market today, about 2/3 of them are from Europe. So we kind of wonder about our American guys. Are they being well represented? And here's one of the best represented among them. RANS is a very successful kit company with over 4,000 kits out in the field already and flying. But now they're fully into the SLSA world, and they've got 3 different models. This is one of them. This is the S7 Courier. And it's a tandem arrangement, as you can see. And look at this door space here. One huge door, but not just one. There's one on the other side as well. It's an airplane that I kind of thought, well, it's going to be a lot of a Cub-like airplane, and I just didn't fly it very soon. And when I finally went aloft with Randy a couple of years ago, I went, I should have flown this one sooner. This is a sweet flying airplane.
Now, this airplane has a history, too. I mean, it's not something that he just brought in because of light sport.
No, actually, Dave, you're right. First of all, it was a kit, and they sold a bunch of them that way. But then a few years ago, quite a few years ago, back in the early 90s, the FAA went off on the primary aircraft category. And there are only 2 airplanes that ever did that, and this was the first. Excuse me, I'm sorry, this was the second one. But they had won primary aircraft certification with this, so it can be flown under the rec pilot rule and all of those things. And when it came time for the LS certification, it was pretty easy because he'd already done all the hard work with the other program.
And he's also offering, to my knowledge, this as an experimental aircraft, too.
You can kind of have this one almost any way you want it. You can build it as an experimental amateur built, which means you can do all the maintenance and that stuff yourself, or you can have them fully build it for you. And as you can tell, one of the things I've always liked about all the RANS airplanes I've ever seen, the ones that come from the factory, are just beautifully finished. These guys have a very nice sense of taste and excellent execution.
This has got to make a great float plane, the way that these doors open up on both sides.
Boy, talk about your flow-through ventilation here, huh? And yes, when this airplane gets put on floats, which you can easily do, one of the nice things about that is you got to be able to get out of a float plane on either side if you're going to dock it. If you beach it, that's something else. But if you're just going to go to a dock, it's really handy to have this. Plus, it just makes the entry and exit so nice in a tandem aircraft. And I mean, this has got to be about 5 feet from front to rear. That's a wide door opening.
And again, this has got that European finish to it inside.
It does. It's a really nicely done airplane. I mean, it's intended to be the look that it has with some exposed tubing to it. This is not a sports car, a high-end luxury vehicle. This is more of a utility airplane, but one that flies so sweetly that you'll get by anything you see on it, that all you got to do is go take a flight in it. Control system, of course, it's tandem. You got joysticks in both places, of course, and in both cases on this particular airplane, they've got trim and push to talk and everything right on the joystick, so you don't have to move your hands around. One throttle you see up here for the front pilot, and of course for one in the back, so you can do full training. You can fly from either position very well. It uses toe brakes. We'll look at that in a minute, but in both positions here, you've got toe brakes back here available to you, and steering in both positions, so you can fly or instruct in this airplane very easily from either position. And one thing I really like about these doors, you can open these in flight. Now, you can't open them at high speed, but if you want to fly this airplane around at 60 or so miles an hour, you can have both of these doors wide open here. That's got to be a charmer for anybody that likes open cockpit flying.
It looks like your fuel gauge is just above your head there.
Yeah, just above my head, and there's one on the other side too that your camera can't see, so it's very easy to check your fuel supply. This is what's called a sight gauge, and it's called that because all you have to do is look at it. No question about whether the instrument is reading right. You just see what the fuel in the tube is, and you know exactly what fuel you've got.
Standard seatbelt arrangement that would come with it now?
Well, it's got shoulder belts, and it's got full security here, which we like. You know, anybody likes that, but you know, it does look like it's a little ways to the front. So if you had this cinched down real tight, how are you going to adjust some of your switches and knobs up here? No problem, because you've got a recoil belt, just like in your automobile, allows you to move forward, but if you go hard and tight on it, it grabs just like it does in an automobile. So in the back, we've also got the same restraint in there, so that you're really held in position very well. And although it's kind of dark in here because they use black cloth, there's a whole storage area back in here. If you pop these little Fastech clips, you can see that there's a whole bunch of area back in here. It's a fabric contained thing, but you can put a fair amount of luggage back in there.
And visibility out of this airplane has to be fantastic with that skylight and the way the doors are.
Well, glorious. Obviously, you can see this way very, very well, and even with the doors closed, it's still that way. But as we look overhead here, it's all glass all the way back behind the aft seat, so you can see every which way you want to see in this airplane. One of the things I really like about it, and I imagine that's true of all the S7 owners.
And although this looks like a bush plane, Dan, it looks like the instrument panel is a little more modern.
Pretty electronic here, isn't it? There's not a round gauge in sight. By the way, as we talked about the two seats here, this one is to be flown solo from the front seat. And when you're in the front seat, you've got the complement up here that you want. Now, of course, they're using the very common Dynon avionics instrument, which is, we don't have lit up today, but we'll show you both flight instruments and engine instruments. So you've got pretty much everything you need right here with the Garmin 396 over here to give you your navigation and your radio stacked right in front of you. But all of that while still allowing lots of leg room in here. You're not going to be banging your knees against the panel in this airplane.
And it's got toe brakes on it too?
Yes, as you can see down here, it's got dual rudder pedals. Of course, they're front and rear, but in the front here, along the top, where I'm pushing with my fingers, hydraulic brakes to give you differential steering. In addition to, of course, it's a tail wheel steering airplane, and that tail wheel can be broken free, so you could turn this airplane right around on one main wheel or the other, especially when you lock up the brakes. Just about as much maneuverability as you could ever ask for.
Now, is there flaps on this airplane, Dan?
Yes, flaps are right down below your seat here. Now, when you're flying in the airplane, when I discovered it, you just sort of reach down for the flap handle, but then it's got the detent on the front. Push in the detent, bring the flap handle up, and very easily operate it from the airplane.
It looks like a little bit of adjustability built into the seats as well.
Yeah, you need to do this before you fly, but there's a pin right here, as you can see in my hand, and that allows you some seat adjustment to the aircraft so that you can make it size to you, but you do need to do that before you get in the airplane.
What do we power this one with, Dan?
Well, this one also uses the Rotax 912. RANS company has been using the Rotax engines for a long time, got a lot of experience with them. But I kind of want to draw your attention to this fact here again. Very nicely made sticker here, made in the USA, and this company has been around since 1983. That's a long time, and that's why they've got so much success in the marketplace. This is one of our largest kit builders in the United States, and now making a lot of airplanes for the fully built crowd. And this one here, we won't talk about an exact price, but it's got one of the better prices in the whole LSA fleet, made right here in the United States.
And what kind of performance are we getting out of it?
With this one here, it's more of a utility airplane. It's not meant to be a high-speed cruiser, but it'll cruise all day long, 75% powered, about 110 miles an hour. So you can get around the country very nicely in this too, and have a lot of fun doing it.
And if we want to get more information, where would we go?
The company website is RANS.com. That's RANS.com.
And do you have a flight report on this one?
I have had the pleasure to fly this airplane. I do have a pilot report on this and most of the RANS airplanes at bydanjohnson.com. That's bydanjohnson.com.